Hello and welcome to the Scottish Roadscast, a podcast all about Scotland's roads, bridges and motorways. I'm John Hassall and I'm joined by my good friend and colleague Stuart Baird. Stuart, how are you?
Hello, John. I'm good.
Good stuff.
We're back.
We're back again. Every month.
Every month.
Hopefully.
Yep.
We're back to talking about big routes.
Okay.
Like we've done in the past because people love this type of thing.
So it's a history podcast?
It's more of a history one, yes.
Okay.
And it's a road we have never spoken about in its entirety. We've touched on bits of it,
Right.
But I believe we've got to a stage where we've got enough information to have a discussion about it, and perhaps something we can follow up in the future.
Okay.
Can you guess out of all the roads in Scotland what it's going to be?
Well, I know already, so...
But you've not read the notes.
But I haven't read the notes.
We're talking about the A78.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is a trunk road we're going to be talking about.
It's a very interesting road.
Very varied road.
Very varied.
Very pleasant road to drive.
Yes.
But this is what I'm going to be talking through. So I'm going to run through the route really from north to south.
Now, I'm glad to see this one coming through because
Okay, why?
To admit to the listeners, I have been nagging these guys to start looking a bit further afield and into routes that we've not really looked at before. And I think some of the episodes that will probably come this year are new, are different, and nothing's like you say that we've ever really touched on.
So we're not just talking about the M9 again.
Exactly.
Or the
So
M8.
you have the privilege of being the first to bring in a new route for this year.
Privilege is doing heavy lifting, but yeah, sure. No, it's been great fun to research. So talking about the A78, I'm just going to work through it from the north all the way to the south. So if you're listening in the house, you can bring up Google Maps and you can go through, or if you're listening in the car and driving, it gives you an idea of where we are. I do want to preface this with a thanks to Duncan. Actually, he's done quite a bit of work in the background with a lot of old newspaper articles and putting some stuff together and some contractor dates that really helped the foundation of my research. But I'm also going to thank myself because I spent ages on this, looking through a lot of it. I don't have all the information, and I'm hoping there's some people listening to this who are from the Ayrshire area or might have been involved in stuff like this who come forward and say, no, that's wrong, or, oh, I've got information on that, and then we can do an even better podcast. Or even, eventually, Stuart, we'll probably have an article on this.
Yeah, I think that's Duncan's plan. He would like to get something up on the website on the A78. Definitely a route history page or something.
So blooming interesting, actually, when you go into it. So I'm going to make a start. The A78 is a trunk road that runs from Greenock in the west of Scotland to Prestwick in North Ayrshire. It's about 40 miles long.
Okay.
It's very varied, as I said. It takes in many pleasant Inverclyde and Ayrshire towns while providing motorists with some of the best scenery west of Glasgow. It features some of the wider and busier sections at the southern end, bypassing the three towns of Ardrossan, Saltcote, Stevenson, as well as the impressive Irvine bypass section. But I'm not just going to speak about that, talk about it all. Now, I don't think this route is as strategically important as something like the A737 or the A77, which are a little bit further inland, in terms of kind of the north-south connection. But it does have a vital role in local connectivity and supporting the industries along its corridor. There's a bit of history to some of this. So you're going to learn about some of the wonderful industrial heritage along the route that will hopefully make for a good listen about this, I think, somewhat underrated and forgotten about Scottish trunk road.
Interesting. Yeah.
Now, we love to talk about roads. And there's lots to love with these things, but we don't know everything about it, so it's a good opportunity, as I said, for people to chime in.
Fill the blanks. Yeah.
Fill the blank. So it's bits and pieces that Duncan has picked up, and myself through researching and looking at old maps. We obviously, with many of these things, know a lot more about post-war stuff, but there's a lot of this route which is pre-war.
Yeah,
in the rural sections. But we'll see if we've got enough to sort of fill the hour here to talk through. I certainly think we can. So hopefully you can keep up with it as we go through.
I will try my best.
We will take the chance at the end, Stuart. There is a from the archive that we've got that is sort of relevant to the section we're talking about, and we'll also have a chance to quickly reflect on the A78 and get some of our opinions on it.
Sounds good to me.
So I'm going to think it's a good place to start with a kind of high-level historical overview of the A78, as we often do with these roads.
Yeah.
The A78 was first classified in 1922. because that's when they gave all the roads numbers, right?
Yeah.
So before that. And many parts of the route then follow the same alignment as they do today. So older maps indicate that parts of the route were built in the pre-motoring age with various old masonry structures. So a lot of these go back to kind of even Victorian or Telford times. And you can see some of these within the towns, although they did undergo quite a lot of upgrades in the sort of 60s and 70s. I'd like to state that the route of the A78 originally started actually in Greenock, which for folks unfamiliar with the west of Scotland or Inverclyde is a town that's kind of contiguous with Greenock. In 1985, when the IBM section was open there, that's when they routed the A78 past there.
Right.
Okay, and kind of north of Inverkip, because the A78 used to stick to the coast far more around the top, which is now the A770. That road is. So it did change at that part, but for the most part, it follows the same.
So the ferry terminal was the sort of start end point of the 78 and the A8 in those days.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. Post-war improvements are generally in the form of some of the bridge upgrades, slight upgrades to some of the single carriageway sections, and the major bypasses for like Irvine and the Three Towns upgrade. The road has a history connection with major industries and facilities along its route, such as the Hunterston Nuclear Power Station or Terminal and the power station at Inverkip. And you mentioned there, actually, ferry connections, in areas. And Gourock, Weems Bay, and, of course, there's Prestwick Airport, which is at the other end of it.
Yep.
But we'll go into more detail. There'll be parts of this where it stops becoming a road podcast because I'm going to talk about some of these industries because it's interesting. There's some interesting stories. Look, let's get into it. Let's work on the route from north to south and see what we can find out about the A78. So the first section is actually at the Bullring Roundabout. The Bullring Roundabout itself really does come under as A8, but what happened here was they built this flyover over the Oak Mall, which is this elevated structure over the top of it that connects to the Bullring Roundabout. Now, you need to keep an eye on this because I mentioned this in previous podcasts. The whole layout here is about to change as part of that levelling up that they're doing for the... Are you okay?
Yes.
You're really not happy with that design, are you? Every time I mention Bullring, you seem to wince or choke.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
I think it's going to be fine, Stuart.
Then we'll leave that one in.
But no, it starts at Bullring. This year was completed in 1974. Now, here's something for you. On some of the notes, it mentioned the Greenock Development Corporation.
Yeah.
I can't find any reference to such an entity, and I'm wondering if it came under the old historic county of Renfrew.
It did. So Greenock was a comprehensive development area, right, in the sense that they cleared away a lot and rebuilt it, constituted under the Town and Country Planning Act. Now, I wonder if Greenock, and again, I don't know because I've not done any research, I suspect that rather than like the new towns, the Greenock Development Corporation was founded to repair war damage.
Right, okay.
Right, because obviously Greenock suffered a bit, during the war. So I do wonder if that Development Corporation came about as that. I believe, and I say believe, that it was abolished in 75 when the new regions and districts came in.
Yeah.
And then it was in an Inverclyde district and Strathclyde region.
Yes.
They led, the Greenock Development Corporation led all the redevelopment of the town centre.
Which included this.
Included all that, and there was like 5 or 6 phases. And it was done over a decade.
But it seems to be intrinsically linked to the Oak Mall. I mean, Tarmac built this back in the day in 1974.
So bear in mind, originally what is now the Oak Mall was open air.
Yes.
And that was a pedestrianised street.
That they then put a roof on. Very similar to the Clyde Shopping Centre in Clydebank.
Yeah. So the council...
Or the Piazza in Paisley.
So the council owned the shopping centre, and then in the mid-90s, they sold it. They sold a share of it, and the proceeds from that sale went towards building the big leisure centre.
Yeah.
South of the Bullring. North of the Bullring, sorry. Some of the money then, I think, that came from that was then used to put a roof on it and all that sort of thing.
So, it was 1974. That came around through all those developments.
There are a few pages online to do with Greenock history, and there's loads of fantastic photos from the 70s and 80s of that shopping area when it was in its original form. Yeah, well worth looking up.
went through there. South from here, the road is really completely urban in nature. Now, you know this section, it kind of goes past several roundabouts.
Yeah.
It passes by the Greenock West railway station, so there's a sort of viaduct that the road takes just right next to that. What's interesting about Greenock, loads of railways there, many of them disused. There's quite a few disused tunnels and things like that underneath Greenock in these areas.
It's so weird you say that, right? I had no idea. And you're the second person in a week that's told me that.
About the disused tunnels.
Because Patrick, who does all our graphic design, he's well up. He loves his old railways and stuff. Yeah. And he was saying, did you know there's all these disused tunnels in Greenock? Nope, I didn't. No, so there you go, I still didn't.
They are there with these things. In fact, I think you can see them on the Ordnance Survey maps because there's like steam shafts that come up randomly in people's gardens in Greenock. Right. Yeah.
I mean, they have a lot of railway stations.
Yeah, they do, but it was to serve a lot of the industry at the time. Some of these are old spurs that went down to serve it, but it's got a huge amount of tunnels in it.
Interesting.
Yeah. It is, of course, this road really does date back to sort of Victorian era in some of the alignments that it's done.
That was a question I was going to ask you, and sorry, you might cover it. Was with this original road, did it exist? You know, like before it became the A78?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, through these areas, as I could see on old maps. It's quite wide in areas. It flows well. You know the bit where it goes up to the prison? Yeah. We call that in work, we call that Bar's Cottage. Right. That area for some reason, but it goes past there. The little roundabout with the funny wee bypass on it. Branston Railway Station and Inverclyde Academy are further up there as well. They've made some changes there in recent years with traffic lights and things like that. But look, I'm not going to list every single little change as we go through Greenock over the years because a lot of them are incredibly minor and aren't anything too remarkable in the grand scope of things. Yeah. But yeah, the road continues all the way out from Greenock, and this is where, in the traditional fields of our interest, it starts to get interesting because the next scheme we come across is the Spango Valley dual carriageway.
Spango Valley, I've not heard that for a long time.
Spango Valley, or the IBM section, because the Spango burn.
Right, okay.
And I think that the whole Spango Valley thing came across because of Silicon Valley and because it's Spango burn, and then they put it together. It makes it sound interesting.
Yeah.
Originally, sort of the road through here was the A742 that went past the IBM factory. Because the IBM factory, believe it or not, has been there since the 50s.
Right, okay.
They used to make just typewriters there, but it wasn't until like the 70s that the IBM site was massively expanded. And in order to facilitate the new site and the workers getting it, they decided this dual carriageway should be built with its own grade separated junction. There was a bad bend there known as the S bend. Right. And that's where people used to access the site. And there was, from what I can deduce from some of the newspaper articles, it was a huge kind of safety concern. So they decided to build this dual carriageway. Now this opened in a couple of different stages, but ultimately on the 27th of July 1982, this opened. It was designed by Scott Wilson, who done this. Strathclyde Regional Council were also involved in it as well. And the contractor was Norwest Holst. Construction.
M74 fame and others.
There you go. I knew you'd know them. One day I'll find a contractor that you don't know. So that's it. The 1.8 mile section of dual carriageway includes one crossover T-junction, so we have to cross the Central Reserve, another simple T-junction on the southbound side, and a fully grade separated trumpet-style interchange that was a purpose-built for the IBM site.
Oh, is that a trumpet? Can't say I've ever paid enough attention to
that. It is a trumpet, yes, it is. Not every factory gets its own flyover, but IBM and Scott Wilson clearly meant business when they done this thing. This is from work perspective, a lot of culverts that run under this road as well. It's a bit of a nightmare with drainage, to be honest. The scheme originally ended at the southern end at a T-junction with the A770. So that was the road that was the A78. So they tied that in. Now, this junction, that was replaced by a roundabout that's gone in there. I think it's called Bankhead Roundabout. Yeah. That just remembered that and put it in the notes. But that was built in the very early 2000s to address some safety concerns.
So that was a recent addition?
Yes, because it was at the end of a dual carriageway and it was a junction and people were overtaking and stuff like that. Right. And you can see, ends in tears. Yeah. So what's a bit of a shame, though, and some people notice as they go along this dual carriageway section, that the trumpet junction, the fully grade separated junction, has actually been covered with mounds of earth on the approach. It's basically closed, and that's because the old IBM site shut. It was more or less, I think it's completely demolished now, but these sort of piles of rubble and lines of bollards started to appear around about the late 2010s, early 20s. I'm not entirely sure when they placed that there, but there is no reason to get into that site anymore. So they obviously want to stop that, to stop people going in there and fly tipping and other things like that. So there's no access to it at all anymore.
No. I think there's proposals for a redevelopment.
There is. They want to put, of course, houses in there to do something. So who knows if that junction probably will come into use again.
Yeah, I mean, it's got the junction already there. It's got the railway station already there. It has everything you need.
It's interesting about the railway stations. The IBM Halt. It was a proper station, but they closed that, and I don't know if it became a request stop only or something like that. But yeah, that was shut.
Yep.
Finally. I remember hearing that on the train when I was using it going through there. So south from here, the road heads towards Inverkip. Okay, so it goes briefly on a sort of an older alignment here, but then you get to a scheme that was built earlier than the IBM section. It's a high standard, but it was built in 1972, and it was known as the Inverkip Road Diversion, which included Inverkip Bypass. And the designer of this was actually the South of Scotland Energy Board and J. Williamson and Partners. We don't have any information for the contractor.
SSEB, not heard that for a long time.
No, we don't have any information on the contractor.
Right.
But like I said, built to a reasonably high standard. It features a footbridge on it at the Harbourside Road, and the road there sort of acts as a bypass for Inverkip.
Yeah.
Now, it was known upon opening as the Inverkip Bypass, as I say, constructed in 1972 to accommodate the marina works, and further along, a large oil-fired power station just south of Inverkip, while taking the traffic away from Inverkip Main Street. Now, the footbridge isn't original to the scheme. The footbridge came some 30 years later. I think it was built here in 2001, according to... Now, I only got that from Structures Records.
Yeah.
Don't have any photos or anything like that. And also in 2025, so that's last year at time of recording, they did provide some traffic lights here at the T-junction in Inverkip, while also lowering the speed limit and putting in left turn lanes. And stuff like that. So that's it. That's that section that runs basically from Inverkip all the way to just where the old power station is that went through there.
Okay.
A little bit more to talk about. The old 78, you can clearly see that's the main street of Inverkip. And if you look towards the western end of Inverkip, there is a large lay-by with public toilets, which was part of the old road alignment. So when you drive through Inverkip, the road kind of sweeps to the left, and there's a large lay-by with public toilets that are still open.
Yeah.
That's part of the old road.
Right.
So the main street used to be the A78, and then it went through there, but they turned it. Of course, like many things, I think Duncan had said this on some of his podcasts, the Up North roads, all the lay-bys pretty much from old alignments.
Old bits of old road, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. South from here, built as part of the same scheme, the road goes quite close to the coast with the railway on one side, and you're treated with another oddity right here, which is the single carriageway grade separated junction at Brewacre, which served the now demolished Inverkip power station. Talk a bit about this junction. We don't have any information on why it is the way it is, but these are my thoughts and my observations on what I see. The junction's a simple diamond full access layout with the A78 passing over the top. But if you pay attention to that structure, the span is clearly wide enough for another whole carriageway, meaning that it was built with future-proofing for dualling. Now, it's not something we have a lot of information on, but this junction is ghostly quiet from a traffic point of view, nestled in thick woodland with the railway on one side and a derelict brownfield site on the other. That's the power station.
Yeah.
It does serve a minor unclassified road, Spey Road, which connects to a kind of more modern 90s housing development further north of Inverkip. So that, I think, are the only people who use it. Now, I want to talk about Inverkip Power Station.
Yeah.
I wonder what you know about this. Okay.
I have visited it.
Oh, there's no surprises here. You'll know everything. You'll be correcting me now.
I've been on the site. I have been on the derelict site. I went nosing.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, I'm sure it was in some official capacity, so yes.
Let's just go with that.
So Inverkip Power Station is remarkable in its right. I'm just going to go away from the road and talk about this. It's quite rare to have a pure oil-fired power station in this part of the world.
Yeah.
It was built in the early 1970s and commissioned in 1976. And it was then decommissioned in 2006, so it only served for 30 years. Its 236-metre chimney was the third highest chimney in the UK and Scotland's tallest freestanding structure. There you go. It's a fun fact. The crazy thing about this massive power station is it was never really used to its full potential. After the 1973 oil crisis meant that by the time it was commissioned, generation was generally uneconomical. It was used as a strategic reserve asset, like during the miners' strike in the mid-80s. They had it fired up to full power then, and helped with some peak demand periods. But by the late 80s, it actually never generated any meaningful power again. It was mothballed in the 90s and demolished in stages throughout the noughties, culminating in the demolition of the high chimney in July 2013. I remember when that came down. So there you go. We're now the Scottish Powercast.
We can actually talk about a lot because Scotland has a lot of history when it comes to power stations and hydro schemes and all these things.
It's a massive big facility, barely used.
I know.
Better to do you know what it is? It's a bit like a Nightingale hospital. Better to have it and not need it. You know what I mean? And they did need it during the miners' strike. Yeah, that's it. So maybe it wasn't a waste of time. The old power station site is, of course, being developed into housing, and a perplexing decision to create a new at-grade junction was given the go-ahead, and this is to be sited just north of the existing Brewacre grade-separated junction I was talking about earlier. This junction is now open and features a hilariously wide footway that doesn't connect to anything, and a provision for traffic lights in the future once traffic levels with the new houses being built, obviously increases and materialises. But it does provide yet another interruption to what was quite a well-flowing national speed limit road. I don't know why they didn't just tie it into that junction. Yeah. But I suspect it's probably because of the DMRB standards. To bring that Brewacre junction up to Montague the DMRB will have stuff in there for single carriageway grade separated junctions, it will, but then the slip roads would need to be this certain length and these sorts of things, and the developer was probably not wanting to do that. I just don't get why you've got a perfectly good junction and you don't use it.
Is it private developer led, or is it? Yes, so it's not public developed.
It's private developer. It's horrible, Stuart. If you go and have a look there, it's just horrible.
We should go down one day.
They didn't even surface it. That's the thing that annoys me about it as well. And it's been done in a way that they can change it in the future, but it's just...
You'll need to take me down.
Yeah. It's not a decision I agree with, but they are my personal views and not that of any organisation or anything. I just want to say that.
Yeah, bit of bum covering going on there, that's fine.
Anyway, this is the bit I like... from a driver's perspective. It's the coastal route section that goes all the way through these towns. I'm basically going to cover it all the way down to Hunterston now. Heading south from Inverkip and the story of the power station, we arrive at the charming coastal settlements of Weems Bay and Skelmorley, where the road is on a historic alignment through two villages. Fun fact, Weems Bay was used as a practice area for the D-Day landings during the Second World War.
Interesting.
There's a rumour, it is a rumour, that Winston Churchill stayed in one of the nice large houses in Weems Bay to oversee the mock landings that were going on. So there you go.
Interesting.
Another feature in this area is the architecturally significant Weems Bay railway station, which is the terminus on the Inverclyde line. Have you been in it?
Yes, I have been across in the ferry to Rothsay once.
But have you been to the railway station in Weems Bay?
Yes, because I took the train down
to get to it. So the station building was designed by James Miller in 1903 for the Caledonian Railway and is remarkable. It truly is, in the use of glass and steel curves. Walking along the gently sweeping concourse in there is truly a great experience for building and railway enthusiasts alike.
What I liked about it recently was that the Strathclyde Transport logos from the 80s for when it was all rebuilt and refurbished were still very much on show and prominent.
They had to refurbish it again in 2014 to 2016.
And I do wonder if some of those logos have now been removed.
No, you'll have to go and have a look. That's well worth a visit if you're done.
Yeah, and of course you can get off the train and then go down the ferry slipway and be covered over at all times. So you don't get wet if it's raining.
That's the end of the line now. That's the terminus.
Right, so that's the end. Okay.
Yeah. So beyond here, the road hugs the coast and passes many pleasant dwellings in Skelmorley. There's something I've not got this in my notes. I always notice when I drive. What's with these people? They all have palm trees in their garden. It's not Fort Lauderdale.
No, but it's not frosty either. It's just temperate climate.
I don't agree with palm trees in Scotland. There's a slight.
Well, they're not real. If you're if you really look into it, right, you'll see that they're not actually palm trees. They are just types of plant that have that.
But they look like a palm. There's something odd about them.
No,
it's like a polar bear in a desert. Look, I'm like, no.
Someone listening will know exactly what they are. I can't remember, but I do remember someone correcting me years ago.
They're not palms.
They're something or
Latin
others.
thing with it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But they do need more mild conditions to survive.
Which they get there.
Yeah,
you see them at Gairloch and these places as well.
Wherever you're on the coast,
these weird microclimates you get in these areas.
Places like Tobermory and things like that.
Yeah. No, that's fine. But the alignment, of course, here is historic, and the road can feel a bit windy as you're going through. But the views over the Firth of Clyde are very pleasant driving down here. What's worth noting is that the seawall and rock armour has been put in here to stop erosion. A lot of this lake actually dates back to the 50s when they've done some work in it. Various schemes over the years have taken place to keep it maintained. I believe the rock armour stuff is probably more recently. During very stormy weather, the waves can lap up over onto the road here. Have you noticed that there's gates? You can shut the A78 here during very stormy conditions.
Oh, right, like floodgates. Yes.
Yes.
Right, yep, close it, save traffic going up if there's rocks coming over. And okay.
Get them in that section because it can be unpleasant when the weather is bad. Excuse me. So further south the road, it enters the lovely seaside town of Largs. So that's a seaside resort as it is.
Yeah.
It's like the Skegness of our part of the world in a way, isn't it?
So many lovely visitors to Largs the last time I was there.
That's it, but also you can get access to the island of Great Cumbrae, which is where Millport is. From there,
yes.
in the Firth of Forth. There are some bridges here dating back a long time in Largs. I'm sure you might know about some of these structures. A lot of them were strengthened in the 60s and 70s to accommodate larger HGV traffic that passes through the area. South of Largs, the road passes another marina on the west side before it enters the small and quiet town of Fairley. What do you think of these towns? Do you ever go down there in the summer, you mentioned?
Yes. Some nicer than others.
Yeah. I love Largs. I actually quite like it.
The last time I went to Largs, summer's evening,
oh dear,
Saturday night, never again.
I take it there. You had some issues with lively young individuals.
Not all young. Some old enough to know better.
Okay. No, fair enough. Well, I happen to have a lovely time down there. That's some great ice cream.
If I was going to do it again, I would just continue driving and go to Troon or somewhere like that.
Troon's nice.
Yes.
Yeah, Troon is.
Yeah.
But you know what's south of Fairley? This is where the road loses its quaintness, but also is quite interesting. It's the Hunterston section. Okay. So it's not really a surprise that we find ourselves at the start of another section associated with industry. And the south of Fairley at South Annan roundabout. This section here was actually, this is built in stages throughout the sort of mid-70s.
Yeah.
And we know that the rail bridge just north of the roundabout was completed in 1978. A little bit late on.
Yeah.
That's obviously these railways were put in for access to the ore terminal, which I'm going to talk about here. Now, between South Annan roundabout and the Hunterston roundabout, the road is a single carriageway to a modern standard with a very short, it's almost an inadmissible section of dual carriageway on the approach to the roundabout. The old A78 you can still see. It just sits to the west of the road and it's now a footpath. It's part of the Ayrshire coastal route. So, they just rebuilt the road here with this. There is a very unusual structure here. Let's see if you can remember this. Over this section of road, which was actually a large ore and then coal conveyor that was built in 1978 before being removed in 2022. This was used to move materials from the terminal to the rail yard on the other side of the A78. Did you know that?
Yes, but only because we have the entire collection of construction photos for that section in the archive.
Yeah.
Until then, I'd always wondered what that thing above the road was, but I didn't know that.
Big conveyor belt.
Yeah,
that was
interesting. I know that the ore that was shipped in from there came to Ravenscraig and was for the steelworks. Oh, sorry, I'm cutting him out. Oh, no, he's going to kill me.
Right, we'll cut that. It's fine. Hunterston Ore Terminal, up until 1992, had an important role in feeding supplies of raw materials to fuel the Ravenscraig Steelworks near Motherwell. You ever been to Ravenscraig?
Once or twice.
After that, it was used for coal instead, and they sent it to places like Drax in North Yorkshire and Longannet in Fife.
Right, okay. So it was other uses.
Yeah,
and
in 1992 it was no longer an ore terminal.
And again, sorry if I'm cutting in again, but I believe that ore terminal replaced the general terminus Quay in Glasgow, which was the one just up from Springfield Quay.
I don't know. No, I don't know about that. I'm not disputing it.
See, but the railways used to go under the Scotland Street Viaduct. So the Scotland Street Viaduct were designed to pass the rail link into the general terminus Quay, but all the ore up until that point came into there and was shipped out. Hunterston was the replacement for that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. Another fun fact. The site did eventually close, though, in 2016, but it has been useful and used for other things. Like it's been used for renewable energy testing and ship mooring as well. So they've used it as sort of like a storage area in that time. However, new lease of life coming for it. It's now part of the Hunterston Park project, and which is all about delivering undersea cables. So these are high voltage DC interconnectors and stuff, and they're building a lot of these things.
Is that private developer led?
Yes. Yeah, it is. So it still has a role. Also worth mentioning when we say Hunterston, just south of the old ore terminal is yet another old power station, or rather two of them. The Hunterston nuclear power stations A and B. These were, well, they were decommissioned in 1990 and 2022, respectively.
I find that fascinating. That whole location.
Well, at Hunterston, it's very industrial. Worth a look around,
And
but very. You can't really go for a what is very highly secure because
I regret
those sites
not going for the tour because they used to run tours of Hunterston B, and they used to advertise on the TV and stuff that you could go for tours.
Yeah,
and I've never done it. And you know who has done it? Archive member Wojciech has done it.
Oh, of course
he did it.
He would love that.
Yeah, so I'm gutted that I didn't do that. Because
well,
of course, security implications nowadays, you just never get to do it. But
maybe Torness still do them.
I don't know. Maybe not since COVID. A lot of them use COVID as an excuse to stop doing that kind of thing.
Love this peek behind the curtain things.
Yeah.
So A78 obviously had an important role in serving these facilities, and probably that's why it was upgraded.
Yeah.
You know. But no, it's good to have a little bit of information and some dates in there.
A lot of focus on that part of the world in those days. I mean, remember when we used to have things like industrial strategies?
Yes.
And we would target areas.
We're not a heavy industry country anymore, though. You know, with those things. So it's
but given the current climate, maybe that's the way we should be looking more inward.
Who knows?
I know.
We'll quickly move on before we become
a whole other podcast.
The Politics and World Economic Forum podcast. Next section I'll talk about is Hunterston to how do you say this? Montford roundabout. Or is it Montford roundabout?
No, it's Montford, I think.
Montford. Okay, that's fine. Hunterston to Montford roundabout, which is the final of sort of single carriageway section I've bundled together. From Hunterston heading south, the road sweeps gently to the west before opening up on two long straight sections passing agricultural land. Nothing very remarkable. But the A78 then passes through the contiguous towns of West Kilbride and Seamill. Which are quite nice places, actually.
They're nice. I mean, Seamill's got the Hydro Hotel, and that's all nice and lovely, and more expensive yachts. I remember we mentioned Inverkip earlier, and I think we mentioned fancy yachts in the podcast as well, last one. Yeah, lots of caravans.
There's a lovely lay-by there, and you can go out there and have like nice views across, and you can see Goat Fell and on Arran and all that stuff. But, you know, the funny thing is, going down to Montford Roundabout, which is where Prestwick Airport is, for all the 20th century, the road continued here, straight. And it went all the way into Ardrossan, where it passed through Saltcoats before going to Stevenson and ending up at the Pennyburn roundabout. That all changed in 2004.
Yes. Finally,
yes, we are going to start talking about the A78 Three Towns Bypass. So, here's how we'll tackle this. When the Kilwinning Southern Bypass opened, so I'm jumping ahead a little bit in the road in the 1960s, it was always intended that the A78 would continue westwards north of the Three Towns from Pennyburn. Okay?
Yeah.
In the 1980s, Strathclyde Regional Council done various studies and the route options which ultimately culminated in a more northerly route. They did have some different routes that they looked at. further away from the town to mitigate sort of environmental concerns being chosen. This was badly needed due to the volume of traffic in the three towns. Effectively, the A78 dumping all its traffic in there, and you got this high quality newer road in the Kilwinning bypass on the eastern end. This was realised in the early noughties when the Scottish Executive gave the go-ahead to construct a $30 million project to provide relief to the three towns and provide a high-quality, almost all dual carriageway bypass to the north. So it was designed by Carl Brough and Scott Wilson, who worked together on this one, and it was a joint venture contract. It was Morrison's Construction who done most of the roads, and there was Molam Limited who done the railway bridge. Mm-hmm. And it opened on the 21st of December 2004. That's quite recent compared to some of the sections.
It's quite recent. I remember all the hoo-ha when that one opened at last, because it was very busy in the summer. Going up through those three towns, it could be a nightmare.
Yeah, but work commenced on the Three Towns bypass in August 2003, and it required 518,000 cubic metres of excavation, 61,000 cubic metres of concrete, and the building of 7 structures, and the planting of, I never mentioned trees, but it's worth mentioning, 210,000 shrubs and trees were planted on it.
You heard it here first.
There's a lot, because it's a newer scheme, you get a lot of these
the detail,
ecological mitigation measures that were put in. They put in animal fencing, mammal crossings, all that stuff that came on these things that they just didn't do in the 60s, What we ended up with was a relatively high quality dual carriageway with 3 at-grade, albeit well-functioning, roundabouts and a short section of 2+1 single carriageway between Montford and the Chapel Hill roundabout.
Yeah, do we know the reason why that's only 2+1?
It's a mystery. It's a genuine mystery.
Strange.
Because I was looking through the booklets and the reports and stuff like that. It's one of these things a bit like why is Annie's Land Cross the way it is? Well, the only way you know that is by speaking to someone who was a designer.
Who worked in it, yeah.
Who went, oh, well,
you might need to ask one of my Scott Wilson contacts.
Maybe it was value engineering.
Could be.
Was that a concept then?
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
Probably.
There's not really any other accesses to the bypass.
That's what I mean. It's like if there was an obvious road where, at the end of the dual carriageway there was a busy B road or something going off and a proportion of traffic was going to use fine.
If it was built in the 80s, you would have had that. But I think they've learnt lessons from things like the A90 and stuff. It's like, no, just have it limited access. There's enough there's enough roundabouts. Most significant feature on this Three Towns bypass is the Montford Railway Bridge, which was actually let as a separate contract, as is the case, with the usual Network Rail doing the design, and Molam are one of the contractors that Network Rail sort of use routinely. They've done the construction work. The bridge is a reinforced concrete box which was slid into position over a 101-hour closure of the railway. I think this functions well, and the roundabouts are fine. Possibly will be more busy in future when that B714 gets upgraded and they tie in with Sharp Hill, but yeah, don't know about this 2+1
of course, that scheme you mentioned in the last podcast, that Dorai to their scheme could just increase traffic a bit. Yeah,
just ties in with it. Do you know what, Stuart? You've got it up on the screen at the moment.
Yeah.
Do you want to do the From the Archive?
That makes sense.
Because we're talking about Three Towns bypass. Tell us a little bit about some of the material that you have.
So we have the opening booklet for the Three Towns bypass. Yeah. As John said, it was obviously produced for the opening ceremony, which was undertaken on the 21st of December 2004. A nice Christmas present for the residents of the Three Towns. And it was opened by Nicholl Stephen MSP, who was, of course, the Minister for Transport at that time. He was one of the Lib Dems and the Liberal Scottish Executive at that time. And I remember there was a big fanfare about the opening of this one. They had already opened the A1 expressway that year, and then this one was opened, and there were two projects into the 3 that they had announced. The GSO and the M77 would come in 2005, and then there was another one which has now completely slipped my mind, but I think it did come along as well. So they felt as though they were making some really good progress.
A68.
It probably was. They had announced in 1999, so there was a big bit of fanfare there. It was, seen to my mind, right, this is the last scheme in Scotland that was built and sort of done in that 1990s way, right, where
the design and build.
It was design and build, and it was done very, very quickly because there were bonuses and things available to the contractor if they got it done, ahead of schedule. Yeah. So to me, I've always thought that was the last one that was really like that. The M77 and others don't really count for me because they were DBFO.
Do you think that's a good model for letting these? You know a lot about procurement and contract stuff.
I mean, it can be, if there's a good incentive. to get it done quickly and efficiently and properly, then yes, it can be good if you want to do things quickly. But at the same time, when cost is your driving force, that's not always good either.
Yeah.
So at least it's a fine balance between quality and price on all these things.
So you're saying that was very much a throw money at it sort of option?
I think it was delivered cheaply.
Okay, so the opposite then of that.
I think they may have had some problems with it in its initial years. In fact, have we not discussed before about the surfacing having to be redone? And
that was the GSO had that problem.
Yeah, I know that this one had some issues. No doubt people down there will be able to tell me, but I think the surfacing system may have been...
an earlier SMA or thin surface core system.
Something about it just didn't quite work out.
Should have maybe asked someone about that, but no, that's fair enough.
I think it was someone at an event that told us that. People come up and they go, "Oh, that was terrible. That was
Road Expo." But do you know what we do now? The great thing, Stuart, in if anything goes wrong publicly, do you know what we call it now? Lessons learned.
Lessons learned, indeed.
No, that's what we say.
We'll compile a nice big register of lessons learned so we'll never make that mistake again.
Yeah, and then the whole administration changes and that's all forgotten.
And then we make the mistake again. Exactly. Such is life. But yeah, it's the booklet's useful. It's interesting. Like John says,
map.
Nice big map on the centre spread. As usual, on the website, scottishroodsarchive.org/roadscast, and you get the link to the document right at the very bottom of the page.
Yes. Just wanted to mention it's not the From Archives thing, but we do have a separate document. I don't think it's on the website showing all the different route options that they looked at as well.
Is that a big document? I've not seen that.
Yeah, it's a little bit bigger than that one, but I used that document when researching this to look at some of the different options. They're all more or less the same. It's just in different places. There wasn't any grade separated junctions.
If I'm feeling generous, I may upload that one as well. So if by the time you're listening to this and you go on, you may well see both documents there. So if they are, enjoy.
Good stuff.
It's good to share stuff from the archive because we are sitting on all this and it's good to get it out.
Yeah, exactly. People love opening booklets, don't
Yeah,
they? So,
yeah.
The next section I want to talk about, which I sort of touched on, was this Kilwinning bypass.
Yes.
So,
because when we say to people, I've had this conversation, the Kilwinning Kilwinning doesn't have a bypass.
Kilwinning doesn't have a bypass.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yes, it does.
Actually, it does. but can you blame them because this is ancient?
Yeah.
So, at the eastern end of the Three Towns Bypass, right, you find yourself at Pennyburn roundabout. Okay.
Is that where Morrison's is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Where you can take the A738 into Kilwinning. That's a trunk road, the A738.
Yeah.
However, continuing south along the A78, as if you're going down towards Irvine, is the much older Kilwinning bypass, which was opened in 1962. Now, this was designed by Crouch and Hogg, good old Crouch and Hogg from the Renfrew bypass days, and the contractor was Kings and Co Limited. Do they ring any bells as a contractor?
There was a King & Co that did some of the A74 dual carriageway, I think.
That's what, because this is old. And do you know when it opened? 24th of August 1962.
So very much at that kind of time.
Yeah. With a cost of £500,000.
Wow, drop in the ocean.
Exactly. It's funny, actually, how cheap this was back then, 500,000. It's not a long section. You could buy a 3-bedroom house in Surrey for that money, but back then, you could actually buy 2 miles of dual carriageway. So there really isn't much to this section other than it's a 2-lane dual carriageway without much interruption until you get to the eastern end, where there are 2 junctions. They're just T-junctions, and there is a large bridge over the River Garnock. The Eglinton interchange wasn't actually built as part of this that we see here, or in the form that we have it today. Instead, this section actually continued slightly west before becoming what is Long Drive into the Montgomery Park area of Irvine. This terminus was modified when the next section opened, leaving a funny-looking fork spur there is today.
I've used that a few times.
Yeah, so you have Eglinton interchange, a roundabout interchange, which wasn't part of this, but then there's a fork junction connected. That was the old terminus of this Kilwinning bypass. We actually don't have much information on this scheme, but if you live in the area and you want to educate us, please get in touch.
The most interesting thing for me of that Kilwinning bypass is the railway bridge.
Yes.
Because it's a very unusual design.
Yes, tell me a little about, because I was going to try and bring this up at some point. You, back when you were younger, sorry, you're still young.
Thank you.
You've done a lot of inspections and work down on the A78. What's so unusual about this bridge?
I think it's just because the railway bridge itself is so obviously more modern to everything else around about it, right? But it's also, this sounds ridiculous, but it's also sufficiently old enough now that it stands out for that reason. It's got very interesting supports, they're cylindrical.
Yes. That's a feature of the A78, cylindrical supports.
The last couple of times I've driven through it, I've been like, that needs a bit of care.
Okay. Was it built at the same time?
Now, did we not, through John Tal, our good friend, did we not discover that it was previously built as an advance contract to the dual carriageway?
Because it doesn't seem like the cost of that would be
British Railways Board that built the bridge.
Because
I'd need to check.
It's not mentioned.
No.
The only thing I have about this Kilwinning bypass is, a scrap of a newspaper article.
They probably delivered the railway bridge as an advance contract.
Yeah.
And then the roadwork came a year or two later. So that's why it's so unusual, because it's got that kind of 50s, 60s, early 60s feel about it.
Yeah.
So it's like modern bridges were still very much just developing at that time, so you can always pick a 50s structure out because it tends to be very different looking.
Yeah.
Thinking like most famously the M1 bridges.
Yes, very 50s.
Yeah. And that railway bridge to me has always just stood out for that reason, that it's just like, well, it's not a 70s built thing.
Can't believe
older than that.
I'm glad you brought it up. I'm going to have to go and have a look at it again, because I'm trying to remind myself of why it looks.
Someone out there listening will know about it, because there are a lot of railway buffs listen to us as well, and they'll know the details, so there maybe somebody will send it in.
But there we go. It's very likely it was a separate contract, as you say.
Yeah.
Cool. Right. This is it. The big one.
The big one.
The one everyone's been waiting for me to talk about. Okay. The Irvine Bypass is the next section of the A78, and it's one of only 2 3-lane non-motorway dual carriageway roads in Scotland. The other one being, if it counts, is the A90 on approach to Queensferry Crossing.
Oh, yeah, that's 3 lane.
Special road.
Yeah.
There we go. It's built with 3 lanes due to the population and growth forecast for the Irvine new town. That's why it's so incredibly big. Obviously, those things never realised, and that's why it's quite quiet. But there you go. They really were building in that extra capacity to allow for future traffic growth. So scheme information, Irvine Bypass, which runs really from that Eglinton interchange to all the way through Warwick's and Newhouse interchange to actually south of there towards Meadowhead. That was included in it. It was designed because Irvine had its own development corporation.
Yeah.
In there, and the contractor was W&C French Limited.
W&C French built M8 Monkland Motorway Stage 2B.
There you go.
Yep.
And it opened on the 12th of March 1976. Little bit more on that. It didn't fully open.
Right.
But for the most part, we'll agree on that date, 76. And it cost somewhere between a few different figures. I'll go with a higher one, 8.75 million at the time for this one. On opening day, it was Lord Kirkhill, Minister of State at the Scottish Office, who cut the ribbon and drove his motorcade along the 3-lane section. Also present were just under a dozen local protesters waving placards from a footbridge, complaining that the new road was too close to their properties. Some of the protesters tried to get down from the footbridge to confront Lord Kirkhill, but they were quickly removed by the police.
So it's not a new thing.
No, it's not. But he was dead chuffed with the road from all the pictures of it. Not a massive opening ceremony, but there was an opening ceremony nonetheless. It's worth noting that the 3 junctions on this section were all grade they are all grade separated roundabouts, with the A78 passing underneath each one.
Yeah.
Beyond Warwick's interchange, where it meets the A71. So at Warwick's, the road actually drops to 2 lanes from that section there and goes over the River Irvine.
Makes sense, because a lot of traffic would have been turning there. A71 dual carriageway to what's now the M77, A77. That's another one we need to cover on a podcast, the A71. I love that road.
Yes, and that's actually built in 2 stages. I actually started coming across information for that, but I'm not going to spill the beans on all that yet. We can talk about that later, because it might be that we start finding out a lot more about it, because there is a weird thing that's said in this, and we'll try and figure out what's going on. Beyond Newhouse, the Irvine Bypass follows quite a straight alignment before arriving at a tight and seemingly out-of-place roundabout down at Meadowhead. Do you know that one? Meadowhead's a nasty little roundabout that's still there.
Is that halfway between Warwick's and... Is that at Troon?
It's between Newhouse and Dundonald.
Right.
There's a little roundabout down there. I believe this is where the A76 bypass actually stopped. I'm not 100% sure. but the roundabout does seem to have a very temporary feel to it, but seems to have survived any future improvements.
Right.
And it's completely pointless because the areas it serves can be accommodated by either grade separated junctions on either side.
I'm going to have a look at that on the map.
Now, this is cryptic too about Irvine. The cryptic remark in the newspaper article about the bypass opening that I don't understand is, and they'll quote, "The Warwick's interchange cannot be used because there is no link with the southern approach road. However, Lord Kirkhill has been assured that the region has a link road will be given early consideration." Were they talking about the A71 that was heading into Irvine? There is an impressive bridge on the A71 going into Irvine from Warwick's known as the Fowlerton Arches that opened in 2010.
Yeah.
Did you know that replaced a temporary Bailey Bridge that was there from 1972?
That's right.
I would love to know the full story here, because if that Bailey Bridge was there from 72, then there would have been a link into Irvine.
Yeah. I think they're talking about the section east to Kilmarnock.
Yes. That actually was part of that opened in the 80s.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, the last section was like 80.
I wouldn't have said that's a southern approach road.
Yeah.
I would have said an approach road is something that's in a town. Maybe the section that goes under the shopping centre hadn't been built yet.
Possibly. And there is also the large the bridge over the river as well. The River Irvine as you're heading into the town. So maybe, as you say, maybe just wasn't quite ready.
I have a feeling there is a lot of story here with Irvine, and someone needs to go and find out all the information about it.
Agreed.
Duncan can spend a weekend down there annoying people in various local studies libraries and stuff like that. He'll enjoy doing that.
I see the roundabout now. I know the roundabout you're talking about, the wee one that just shouldn't really be there.
What do you think of this?
That must have been the end of the bypass.
Yeah, it's got a very temporary feel. Now, last time I was on this roundabout, I witnessed an accident on it. I remember driving and I heard this almighty clatter, and I looked to my right and some SUV had come off, and they were okay, but they wiped out a hole of the bollocks. It was a while ago.
Yeah.
But it's it's a nasty, tight little thing, and I don't know what the point of it is. Because, like I said, you can use the junctions either side. So, get rid of it completely. Just stop it all up. It's not even worth grade separating, and just reroute the local roads to it.
Barassi. That's the place I was trying to think. The name Barassi.
Yeah. There is more to talk about in the A78, though. Modern sections. This is the Loans bypass, designed by not Scott Wilson, but Strathclyde Regional Council.
Yeah, is this the final section?
It is. So it's south of this Meadowhead roundabout. The road sort of sets its sights for the airport at this point, and this is the last section. And it's entirely grade separated, dual two-lane carriageway, but designed by Strathclyde Regional Council, and the contractor was French Kia Construction.
Still WC French, became French Kia, became Kia.
There you go.
Because by the time Monkload Stage 2B opened, it was French Kia.
You're like the contractor Wikipedia. It's just all these things. Opened in the 80s, 17th of September 1983. So
what's that, years after the Irvine bypass?
Yeah.
That must have been a real pain in the backside.
It was. And I don't like it. And I'll get onto that thing in a minute. It's 7.4 million it cost to do it. There is a diamond interchange for Troon and Dundalls, and there is also a sort of a small left-in, left-out junction for Loans further south. Sure, there isn't really anything remarkable I find about this road. I've always felt like it felt cheap.
It was just the missing link in the chain, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's sort of the 80s road, but it's straight enough. But eventually comes to an end at Monkton Head roundabout.
Is that on the A79?
Yes, it is. And talk about that. We do have criminally little information on this section. No opening booklets or anything. No. We just had a newspaper article. Now I've had to look at some old maps and why the route was chosen through this area. But you can always let us know. See, when you get to Monkton Head, you do have a choice, right? So there's the 78 actually continues towards Dutch House roundabout, where it meets the A77, which is dual carriageway. This is sort of the northern part of the Prestwick Air bypass. Yeah. But that was actually built under a completely separate scheme in the 1960s. Okay. Yeah. Now that's going to be a part of the A77. Yeah. So that bit there, that's where the A78 officially ends, Dutch House roundabout. But going just back to the previous roundabout at not Meadowhead roundabout, Monkton Head roundabout,
Mm-hmm.
there is this old dual carriageway, the A79, which is a non-trunk dual carriageway that goes into Prestwick Airport.
Mm-hmm.
I know that the latter was also particularly ancient, and it was built as a perimeter road for the airport back in the 1960s.
Yeah, because I remember we did an Ayrshire podcast years ago.
We did.
Yeah, and I remember we had a bit of info on that one, because I think the cars used to cross the runway under traffic signal control for years until that bit was built.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of these sections where there's this national speed limit, I'm pretty sure, and it has no central res barrier.
Mm-hmm.
No problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's 60s.
No problem until it is a problem.
But it isn't. That's the thing. It isn't.
Mm.
Look, I've run out of A78 to talk about. So,
Well,
why don't we talk about a little bit, if we have time, conclusions on the route? Future?
I've always enjoyed it, but I've only ever used it as a tourist on a jolly. So I've never been in a hurry to get anywhere. Well, when I was, okay, but I wasn't getting anywhere. I wasn't travelling anywhere.
Yeah, because it's not a strategic route, it's a local route.
So I couldn't comment on its reliability.
It sucks for a lot of the sections, especially in the north, from Greenock through
Slow moving.
Greenock to Largs is awful.
Right.
You can't overtake anything. You get stuck behind. You get stuck, and there are a lot of caravans and Honda Jazzes and other things like that, and you'll get stuck behind these. You can't really get
other
past.
old person vehicles are available.
You get stuck behind these things, and you're crawling through towns and stuff. It's not until you get to the other side of like Fairley that it sort of opens out. It's not too bad. I have no problems with some of the urban sections south of there. And then Three Towns, the Irvine bypass is just is sublime.
Mm-hmm.
It's brilliant.
I've used the dual carriageway section a lot over the years, but I would mostly approach it from the A71 and then turn right if I was going to Irvine, or turn left, if I was going to Prestwick or whatever. I have driven it end to end a few times, but only on a day out in the summer.
Yeah.
So I've never really been thought much about it being slow moving or whatever, because I wasn't trying to get anywhere quickly. Yeah.
But it is. It's not a strategic route. Sorry, I know people. Oh no, it's not. It's at best an interregional route, but it's a local route.
We've mentioned this before, and it really does deserve more coverage. But Ayrshire, the old county of Ayrshire, really have to be commended for the efforts they made in transforming their road network. Because by the early 60s, they were already delivering long lengths of expressway type dual carriageway.
Greenock bypass.
Yeah. Where other areas were still scrambling to decide what they wanted to do. So Ayrshire have to be commended for that, and there's definitely something else for us to discuss here. We do have an A77 podcast in the works. That will be fascinating. That might need to be a two-parter.
That's two-part because it's
so long.
It's so long.
Yeah. And even other routes round about there as well, like the A71, as I mentioned. And that expressway up to Kilmarnock and beyond. That's always very interesting.
I think we'll revisit this. Probably something related to the Irvine bypass and A71, and probably look into more of this. There's also things like the Hurlford bypass and other things like that.
A76, that all came as part of the sort of Belfield works and all that. And
and it's sort of like, where do we start and when do we stop? Maybe we'll do one on the A76 because that's got its own stories. What do you think upgrade-wise? What do you think the A78 needs? What's it missing that you think, is there a bypass needed for somewhere?
I'd bypass Kilwinning to the west, the northwest.
But that's an A737 problem.
That's an A737 problem. Good point. A78, does Largs need a bypass? Strathclyde spoke about possibly building a Largs bypass.
Tricky.
At points.
Always tricky.
Yeah. Given the topography and other issues. Does Fairley need a bypass? Again, Strathclyde had a strategy for bypassing a lot of these towns.
Largs is quite slow. Fairley's fine. And so's West Kilbride and Seamill.
You'd probably get away with leaving them as they are. But yeah, it's an interesting route. I mean, what could you do at Greenock? There's nothing you can do at Greenock because it's far too urban.
They seem to be making it a bit worse, as I said, from Inverkip to Weems Bay, but extending the dual carriage, I don't know what value that brings. The only thing that springs to mind now is get rid of the silly little roundabout Meadowhead.
I mean, it's not strategic. You said it yourself at the start. It's a trunk road, but it serves more of a tourist function.
What-
Because all the industry that was there is all gone.
Where its investment should be targeted is at the seawall sections and maintenance. There are a lot of, and I know this, there are drainage issues. The road isn't very wide. It's very twisty. Realignments, bring it a little bit more inland. That's probably where I see big maintenance investments rather than big new dual carriageway bypasses or grade separated junctions.
Yeah, interesting.
So, yeah.
Okay. No, that was good. That was
Did
interesting.
you enjoy that?
Yeah, lots of new facts and figures there.
Okay,
That
and
was
we've
good
done
for me.
our from the archive during it, which I thought was
made sense.
particularly
Squeezing
good.
that in.
Definitely want to revisit, but I've said it a few times, but if you know about these sections of road, particularly around Irvine in these areas, please get in touch with us.
Yeah.
And go on the website, go to contact us, and say, John needs to study this, or this wasn't quite right, or you should be talking about this. I want to be proven wrong.
Someone will know.
Someone will know. So yeah, that's everything I've got to say on it.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Sponsors.
Yes, of course.
Eastford Excavations. Thank you.
Yeah,
HBS Scotland.
I'm using an Eastford excavation pen.
Good.
While I'm here.
Even better. Thank you. And of course, CIHT Scotland for all their support as
Thank
well.
you very much, guys.
We don't have a lot going on. It's that time of year. It's quiet time of year. There's no, we don't have a lot of talks. We don't have a lot of events. That will start ramping up from the spring.
Yep.
So nothing much to say there. If you haven't yet picked up our Sky Bridge booklet, please do. It's fantastic.
Yes.
It's the best one yet. So please pick up one of them. And we still have some fridge magnets left.
Mm-hmm.
They sold quickly before Christmas. My goodness.
They do.
It was constant.
Got so many fridge, but I'm going to need a new fridge.
Yeah. So that was good. And there's more stuff coming. But no, other than that, John, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Big website update recently, of course. The Inner Ring Road series now complete. And one or two other tweaks as well. And we've got some other stuff in the works. Stay tuned for that.
It's very good. Loving the unbuilt page.
Yes. Aye, all good.
Okay.
But we'll see you next episode. I don't know what the next episode is. It's a Duncan-led one. So
I think we have a special guest.
Oh yes, we do.
And I think you're going to be talking about the A9 dueling.
That's right. There'll be some of that as well. So yeah,
Bit of an
look
update
forward
for everyone.
to that. I think I'm getting dispatched to Inverness for that.
Yes, you
So
are.
I'll have that pleasure to look forward to.
Indeed.
And we'll see you again in a
Absolutely.
short time.
Thanks, Stuart.
Good. Thank you very much, all.
Bye-bye.